Hello everybody and welcome back to another Kings of War Battle Report. I'm Visibly Riley, and today we have Ratkin versus Brotherhood. As is common on this channel, we played at 20 to 50 points and the scenario was push. Now before you ask, does he sound a little nasally today? Yeah, so it's fire season up here in the Pacific Northwest and I'm dealing with that soot pretty poorly, but I do have a full glass of Pappy's 10-year, so I don't know, that sounds like a win to me. Anyway, onwards with my opponent's list. We start off with the Brotherhood, who have a troop of Valain spearmen, followed by a horde of Valain bowmen, then a regiment of Order of the Brotherhood with the Blade of Slashing, then a horde of the same with Brew of Sharpness, then a troop of Order of the Abyssal Hunt, a regiment of Order of Redemption with Brew of Strength, a troop of Valain Reconnoiters, then a Valain Siege Artillery, 2 Forsaken Beasts, both with Breath 10, Vicious, and Regen 5+, then 2 devoted, 1 on a horse with Drain Life and 1 on foot with Martyr's Prayer, and rounding it out we have an Exemplar Forsaker with the Mace of Crushing. Now, my thoughts on this list, of course I'm missing 10 points because I can't exactly remember what's in my opponent's list, but I think this is not exactly the kind of Brotherhood list I would make. One, he's very, very, very light on Inspiring, which is not my really MO. I think that at least 2 sources of Inspiring are pretty good, especially as he has 2 wizards in this list. I would try to find the 10 extra points, as I'm sure I'm missing something here, but removing 10 points from the list, maybe the Brew of Sharpness from his horde and giving them Pathfinder instead, and then using those points to buy the Inspiring Talisman for one of these wizards, especially the Drain Life one, probably for the best. But otherwise, I don't know, I kind of like it. This is the same opponent I played a couple weeks ago, who was also a very new player playing Brotherhood, so I think this evolution of list is very telling to his strengths as a player, rather than, you know, just maybe this idea that I'm beating up newbies. It's just a very new area here. I really like to see list growth like this. This opponent is obviously showing he understands what Kings of War is about. Anyway, onwards with my list. It's the same one I've been running that I ran last week. As a refresher, we have 8 regiments of Tunnel Slaves, followed by 2 hordes of Shock Troops, a horde of Blight, 3 troops of Scurriers, 2 with light crossbows, a regiment of Vermintide, a weapon team with Storm of Lead, a Warlock with Bane Chant and Inspiring Talisman, an Assassin with Blade of Slashing, a Demon Spawn with Flight, and of course the Dusk Crawlers formation. I do like this formation. I do like this list, and I will be running it at the end of the month in a tournament, I'm pretty sure at this point. So there's not a whole lot else I can add here. I've liked how it's been performing for at least the last 2 games. So anyway, moving on. This is the end of deployment for the game after Vanguard. So from left to right on the Ratkin side, we see the 3 troops of Scurriers. The bows are the unpainted guys behind. The assassin is behind those bows himself. Then we have the Demon Spawn. To the right of that, we have 4 regiments of slaves. Behind them on the left, we have our first horde of shock troops. To the right, we have our Blight. To the right of that, we have the little Vermintide regiment. Behind them is my weapon team, and to the right of that we have the 4 regiments of slaves, and behind them, finally, we have the shock troop horde. Oh, to the left of that shock troop horde, and actually to the direct right of my 1 weapon team, we have my Warlock with Inspiring Talisman. This deployment, I think it was sort of a necessity. Our table has, we played those 3 hill-shaped objects. Like, one looks like it might have some trees in it, but all 3 of those are hills, I believe, in this game. No, I'm actually wrong. I'm sorry. On the left, we have 2 hills. In the center and slightly to the right, we have 2 forests. And then we have the water feature that I've deployed the Blight in, and on the far northeast corner, we have another piece of rough terrain. That's height flat rough terrain for both of those. And then off to the right, we have a very large piece of impassable terrain, which I have deployed around. There's nothing over there. I don't know. We're playing push here. I plan to put we only rolled 1 loot counter, so I plan to put my loot counter either on one of my hordes, the Blight or the Shock Troops, probably the one on the left. I'm going to do Shock Troops, just because I don't want to be around as many, I want to be near as few knights as I can. Moving on to my opponent's deployment. we have from the left to right the Reconnoiters, who are directly in front of his Order of the Abyssal Hunt Knights, the troops there. Then to the right of that little snail model he has is his first Forsaken Beast. To the right of that, we have the what is it? The Forsaken Beast hero. I can't remember what he's called. The Pegasus hero. Behind them is the Siege Artillery. To the right of that, the Order of the Brotherhood Horde. And then to the right of that, the Regiment of the Order of the Brotherhood. And then to the right of that, we have the Horde of Archers. To the right, we have the Martyr's Prayer Wizard on foot. Actually, behind the Horde of the Order of the Brotherhood is the Drain Life Wizard. So it's over there. And then to the right of that, we've got the... not Plowshares, just the Villain with Spearmen, I guess. To the right of that, then the second Forsaken Beast. And finally, we knock it off with the Order of Redemption in that bit of rough terrain. My opponent's deployment here, I'm not a big fan of, but while we were deploying, I was trying to take pictures. I was talking to the people in this club while trying to promote Kings of War. In the small game store that I'm going to here, I'm sort of the main Kings of War guy, so trying to push it. And my opponent has never deployed on clock before. In this game, he's deployed. We both played War Machine. We both played a lot of other games, so he's not new to a chess clock. But he was just sort of putting stuff down, so I didn't really notice what he was doing. I'm not a big fan of his deployment, though. I think that the Order of Redemption being in that piece of rough terrain is not the best plan. Why not just put both the beasts over there and maybe the flying hero? Because he only has 1 point of inspiring anyway, so just fuck it. Just ignore it then. Put it over with the beast, make sure that you can fly around and do whatever, and put those Order of Redemption on the left where there are just hills to move over. That way he can march and really utilize that speed. But anyway, I think that the deployment's fine considering he's fighting off just a bunch of slaves. So anyway, moving on to turn 1. Turn 1. I do win the roll for turn 1. This is after movement. I decide to shoot all my bows at the Reconnoiters in front of the Order of the Abyssal Hunt here, and just remove them. I did have, 16 bow shots, 8 thrown weapons. The assassin could not shoot, and I also think the Demon Spawn's lightning bolt went into him. And this shows off my movement at the end of turn 1. Everything has rushed forward as it can. I have moved. Obviously, that forest in the middle of the field has slowed my progression a little bit. Our loot counters. I put my loot counter on the Blight, which are in the bottom center of the picture, and he put his loot counter on the Order of Redemption that are over there in that piece of rough terrain in the northeast. I think that's actually a pretty good pick. Order of Redemption are 15-17 as a regiment, and they have regen, and he has Martyr's Prayer and all that over there. So that's pretty solid. I think a newer player might put it on the Horde of Brotherhood, but those guys are a workhorse unit, pun intended, where they really need to rush into my lines, do as much damage as they can, and then die. Don't worry about them living through the game. They're just there to wreck house. So anyway, with my deployment, with my movement turn 1, I just rush forward with all the slaves and all that, getting my shooting in range. I only do that, those wounds I just said. I think I might have put 1 or 2 wounds on his one source of inspiring this turn, maybe with a lightning bolt from the demon spawn. I'm not exactly sure, but if I tried to shoot lightning bolt anywhere else, it definitely failed. In fact, I know that my warlock just threaded that needle towards his regiment of Order of the Brotherhood directly in front of him and did nothing. So there's that. Moving forward, yeah, his Forsaken Beast over here shoots into my slaves, doing 6 wounds. And this shows off his charges. So the Forsaken Beast puts 6 wounds onto my slaves and rolls whatever he needed. I think that they were a 13-15 at that point, so he needs a 9 to kill them. And whatever he needs to roll, he rolls and kills them off. I don't have that much inspiring in my list either, but I'm not super worried about it. I don't want my slaves to really get in my way. So, although I might have wanted to rotate my warlock a little bit more on the right there, just to make sure, because my right flank, I actually do want the slaves to last a little bit. The left flank, I need them to be gone so I can fight all these horses. So, anyway, maybe a small adjustment for the future. Moving on to his charges, he charges with his regiment of Brotherhood into my right, on the slaves on the right side of that wood there. Just hoping to blow through them. I'm not sure about that charge because he's likely to kill off the slaves. And if he doesn't kill off the slaves, if he just wavers them, I still have a flank charge with my slaves, right? And if he does kill them, which he's pretty likely to do here, I will then countercharge with shock troops, and that's not great. I think it probably would have been better to move his Villain Spearman troop in the way, and just hold back for a turn, or maybe target some of the slaves on the left instead. But as you can see that by that beer bottle in the middle of the table, yeah, we had a few before this, so this is just a fun game. To the left of the woods, we see the Horde of the Brotherhood charge into a slave regiment. This I really don't like, because he's facing a charge from my demon spawn, from my shock troops, from my from everything, if he manages to kill that, which is very likely. It's like 30-ish attacks, 35 attacks, something like that. That hit me on 2s and wound me on 2s, and those guys are not in my inspiring range of my demon spawn there. So yeah, he just pops those and I charge him with everything. That's not a great idea. To the left again, he sends his general and the beast into my scurrier troop with the thrown weapons. This is fine. I think his general could probably do it in the flank alone, and he probably should have just shot with his breath attack into more scurriers. But, you know, if you're deciding to play a little bit more cautiously, where you want to make sure those scurriers are gone, this is fine. This is fine play. And in the far left, yeah, his Order of the Abyssal Hunt charged into my other scurriers, and they're probably gone as well. This is not my favorite, from my perspective, not from his charge perspective. I don't love this. I probably should have pulled my scurriers back a little bit with the bows to make sure that they couldn't be charged turn 1, but that's for the future. And this is the end of combat for the Brotherhood turn 1. So starting from left to right, his Order of the Abyssal Hunt, yep, they don't even waver those scurriers with bows, so I guess it was fine placement by me. Then we have the scurriers fighting the general and the Forsaken Beast. Yeah, they're obliterated and just turns to face my army. The Brotherhood, the Horde of Brotherhood Knights backs up after wrecking house on those slaves in front of them. Yeah, even with the backup, it's just not great. Then the Regiment of Order of the Brotherhood on the right of the wood, they also obliterate those slaves, and he's just looking at a lot of charges here. I have so many more units, I just don't think this was a great idea. Maybe it's okay, assuming you're playing dice numbers, right? Like, if you're going, well, he's going to roll a 7 on 2d6, because that shows up 16.66% of the time. Maybe it's fine, but I don't really work that way. I like to go, if a 5 will do it, don't take it. But anyway, moving on to turn 2. Turn 2, I charge with everything. I don't have much reason to just sit back, so from left to right, I send the Scurriers back into the Order of the Abyssal Hunt. I send a Slave Regiment into the side of the Abyssal Hunt. I send my Assassin into his General, just hoping to turn off flying, but it's still a decent charge. The other Scurriers charge into the flank of the Horde of Order of the Brotherhood, along with my Demon Spawn and the Horde of what are they? Shock troops and a regiment of slaves, all in the front. I'm just hoping to get rid of that Horde immediately because he doesn't have that much threat beyond that on the left flank. So yeah, I moved my Blight around to focus on the left because I think that the right is probably, at least I don't need the help just yet. The left flank I might need some. My slaves move forward into the woods. My weapon team moves forward to shoot at his wizard with Drain Life, and then I charge with my Vermintide regiment and my shock troops into the front of the regiment of the Brotherhood, who had charged my slaves, but unfortunately they get flank charged by one slave regiment in the front with shock troops and Vermintide, so not looking great for them. Although I do take a hinder charge with both the slaves and the Vermintide. Finally, I send the last regiment of slaves into his Forsaken Beasts. I don't care whether they do anything here. I'd like them to do 1 wound to turn off his breath attack, but otherwise it doesn't matter. They're just blocking his ability to charge with the Order of Redemption or the Forsaken Beast because of that piece of impassable terrain. I do like most of the charges I've done here. I mean, a lot of them are pretty necessary, but, you know, going in. Here we see the end of Ratkin turn 2. From left to right, my Scurriers and Slaves do some wounds to the Order of the Abyssal Hunt, but not enough to waver them. Then my Assassin does, I think, 1 wound to his General. You know, not too much, but the Demon Spawn plus the Shock Troops plus the Scurriers, yeah, they roll right through that horde of Order of the Brotherhood, so I'm feeling really good about that. I reform my regiment of Scurriers to block off his General from being able to charge my Demon Spawn. I turn the Demon Spawn to face towards the right flank, where I think I'm going to have more trouble, along with the Shock Troops. Now, this, I think, was a mistake. I think that the Shock Troops should have turned back towards the left, along with my Blight, and maybe I should have had the Blight move forward to the left and then turn to the right. I don't know. But the Shock Troops should definitely be faced towards the left to help out, just because my Slaves and Scurriers are not going to drop that Troop of Abyssal Hunt, and I still have to drop the Beast there and the General. And since I want my Demon Spawn to kind of relocate back towards my right flank, I think that maybe I should have dedicated the Shock Troops to the left. But anyway, small. To the right, my little weapon team did shoot at his Wizard with Drain Life. I did 5 wounds to it, which is great, but I don't manage to waver it, so meh. Then I have my the slaves that fought that horde of Order of the Brotherhood did roll forward, but you know, they just were getting out of the way. My Vermintide plus Slaves plus Shock Troops that did get Bane Chant on them, fighting the regiment of Order of the Brotherhood. I did 13 wounds there, and I don't even manage to waver them. Yeah, I mean, I broke them on... no, I guess I didn't. I guess I just rolled that 3 there. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens in games like this. I actually really like this list because with my Ogres, or maybe my Forces of the Abyss list, if I charged in here and not broken them on the 4, it would have been really bad news. But here, meh, who cares? My Slaves on the right do 1 wound, or maybe 2 wounds to that Forsaken Beast, but all I've done is turn off his breath attack, and that's perfect. Moving forward with Brotherhood turn 2, I believe this is actually the end of Brotherhood turn 2, because I forgot to take a picture here. I'm talking to a lot of people. But he sends the Order of the Redemption and the Forsaken Beast into my Slave Regiment on the right there. And as they're gone, you might ascertain that, yeah, they were blown right through. He sends his Order of the Brotherhood on a countercharge into my Shock Troops, does 5 wounds to them, but does not boxcar the roll. And towards the forest, he charges my Slaves in the flank with Blaine Spearmen, and yeah, they just rock them. It's rough. He does 8 or 9 wounds, just walks right through them. So that was kind of funny. Then on the left, he sends his General into my Assassin, I want to say. Yeah, and then he sends the Forsaken Beast into the flank of my Slaves, and the Order of the Abyssal Hunt back into the Scurriers they were fighting before. The Order of the Abyssal Hunt walks through those Scurriers. They already had some wounds on them from the previous round where they had fought, kills them off, but the Forsaken Beast in the flank of the Slaves doesn't even waver them, which is really unfortunate. And then his General does 5 wounds to my Assassin, and again doesn't waver him, so I'm feeling really good. I'm in a great position right now. I have Scurriers, Assassin, a Demon Spawn that can all charge his 1 source of Inspiring. My Slaves can charge into his Wounded Abyssal Hunt or charge into the Forsaken Beast that they want. The Blight are facing that way. I have another charge into his regiment of Order of the Brotherhood. He has healed almost all their wounds off. He healed 13 wounds using between Drain Life and Martyr's Prayer, but still, I don't know. I don't trust his chances there. So anyway, moving on to turn 3. turn 3, I charge into, from left to right, I charge my slaves into his Order the Abyssal Hunt, and my idea here was they're already wounded, and the Forsaken Beast is already pretty blocked up by me doing this. He can't see the Assassin or the Demon Spawn, even if I fail to kill this General. So, who cares? So I charge into the Abyssal Hunt there. My Scurriers move forward a little bit to shoot at his archers. My Demon Spawn and Assassin both charge into his General. Should be a pretty easy get, as I've done 1 or 2 wounds to him already. Or not an easy get, but a decent one. Then I charge my first horde of shock troops into his troop of Lane Spearmen, and if I can't kill that, might as well just hang it up. Then I turn the Blight back around towards the right, because now I'm realizing sort of the mistake I made, especially the Demon Spawn's going to stay there on the left flank. There's no reason for me to be there. And I turn back towards the woods. My slaves just sort of spin around. I picked up the loot counter last turn with my Vermintide, the center one from push, and I've charged again into the Order of the Brotherhood with them and countercharge with my shock troops. Again, I've cast Bane Chant onto the shock troops fighting the Regiment of Brotherhood, because I think I need it. And otherwise, I don't have anything else, so pretty good. And yeah, it's just showing off my Scurriers shooting into his horde of archers. I do 1 or 2 wounds, but I don't get that waiver. And yeah, just showing off the charge here, or maybe showing off the Bane Chant, I think. Yep, showing off that Bane Chant, gotta see it. And this is the end of Ratkin turn 3. From left to right, the slaves charged into that Order of the Abyssal Hunt. Yeah, they don't walk through them. This is the big unfortunate thing for me, is that my Demon Spawn plus the Assassin charged into his General, and they don't even waver him. I believe I double won this roll, so that's real bad. It's not as bad as it could be, because his Forsaken Beast can't charge my Demon Spawn, but I think he can see the Assassin, and if he kills that, he'll just walk right through him. Bad news. But in the center, things are going well. My shock troops walk right through that troop of Lane Spearmen, and my other shock troops plus the the Vermintide kill off his Order of the Brotherhood regiment and turn back towards the Forsaken Beast and Order of Redemption. So the right and center are going great. The left flank, not so much. That double one hurts. So here we're showing off the start of this is I did double one that. I just failed to kill him. But yeah, this is showing off the Brotherhood part of the turn. His Order of the Abyssal Hunt, of course, charge into the slaves along with a snail, because that's fun. The Forsaken Beast goes into the flank. Then his General goes into my Demon Spawn instead of the Assassin. I think that's fair. We have the Archer Horde goes into my shock troops, and this is one of those things where I go, well, why don't you just shoot, right? Like, the positioning doesn't help you. You don't have a loot counter on them, and you hit on a 5+ with shooting with piercing versus a 6+ with no crushing. There's no reason to do this, but he charges me anyway. His Wizard backs up behind him just to sort of trap him in, I guess. His Martyr's Prayer Wizard. Oh, let's actually roll a picture back, or it looks like I shot his Devoted. Yeah, I guess I shot his Devoted on horse, the Drain Life guy, with my weapon team again and killed it. So, sorry to not mention that, but yeah, I definitely did that. Over here, yeah, again, on the far right, we have the Forsaken Beast and the Order of Redemption charging into my shock troops. I mean, they're unwounded, but that's not great. That's a lot of attacks. The Forsaken Beast has, 7 attacks, and then the Order of Redemption's probably got 15, 18, something like that. Ooh, not good for me. And yeah, this is showing off. He charges into the flank with his snail and the front with the Abyssal Hunt, gets 10 wounds onto me and double ones it, so that's pretty funny. The slaves will do what they do. And just to match it, he does 2 wounds to my shock troops with his stupid archers and boxcars it. So double ones and boxcars, just back to back. Good job. Yeah, the Forsaken Beast and Order of Redemption walk right through that horde of shock troops. I think his Order of Redemption just rolled ridiculously there. It's not uncalled for, but Yeah, I was really hoping I would hold at least a turn and get that counter charge off, but I didn't. So here we see the end of Brotherhood turn 3. Turn 4. Ratkin. So starting from left to right, the slaves that could charge back into the Order of the Abyssal Hunt, trying to... I think they have 4 wounds on him right now, and they're at 12-14. So I'm just trying to, eke out a small victory. I think my Assassin and the Demon Spawn both charge into his General. The Demon Spawn looks like it took 5 wounds in combat last turn, but he's a 16-18, so feeling pretty good. The stupid little wavered shock troops with 2 wounds just stare at his archers, but I do get a flank charge off with the Vermintide into his archers by pulling back with my Vermintide, or with my shock troops, which allows the Blight to charge into his Forsaken Beast, and my last regiment of slaves to charge his Order of Redemption, just to try to chap them up a little bit. I believe my weapons team moved forward just so it can be a bit more central. It doesn't have a whole lot to shoot at, but this was a small mistake, as so my opponent deployed his siege artillery behind a hill, which is terrible, and I should have abused this more, but he's facing right at my little weapons team there, so just a mistake by me. Otherwise, my Warlock just pulls a little bit back. It's not inspiring the already wavered shock troops, but that's their punishment. So, moving forward, yep, I roll into this stupid general. I do 11 wounds with the Demon Spawn alone. Oh, the Assassin looks like a charge into his beast, not the general. So yeah, I do 11 wounds to his general with my Demon Spawn this turn. He's sitting on 25 wounds or something, and I double won it, so... more double ones. What a good rule. In jest. My slaves on the left, they're fighting the Order of the Abyssal Hunt. Yeah, they don't do anything. My Assassin does a couple wounds to the Snail, does, I think, 3, but does not waver him. I'm okay with that. Although, because my Demon Spawn didn't kill off his stupid general, now he can countercharge my Assassin and roll into my flank. Ooh, bad news if he does it. On the right, my Vermintide do 1 or 2 wounds to the archers, but not enough to actually get a waiver. My Blight do actually quite a few wounds. They do, I think, 9 wounds to that Forsaken Beast, but I don't get anything. Maybe I got a waiver here. We'll see. But I don't break him. And then finally, the slaves that charge into the Order of Redemption. Yeah, they don't do a whole lot. Maybe 1 wound. Turn off that Thunderous, but yeah, nothing more. With Brotherhood turn 4, of course, on the left we have his Order of the Abyssal Hunt charging back into the almost dead slaves. He charges his beast, his Forsaken Beast, into my Assassin with 5 wounds. His general goes into my Demon Spawn that already has 5 wounds on me. And then he sends his archers back into the Horde of Shock Troops. At least this time he can't shoot, so this was the correct move. His Wizard with Martyr's Prayer has 9 wounds on him right now, and he's sort of blocking up the way, and he's pushed him with just a slight corner closer to that Vermintide than the Horde of Vlaine Bowman, so I'm not sure about that. The Forsaken Beast goes into the Blight, so yes, it looks like I did not waver him. And then the Order of Redemption goes into that Slave Regiment. Should be an easy kill for them. And yeah, so he does 12 wounds to my slaves with the Order of Redemption, and more double ones. So this is the 3rd set of relevant double ones. We each rolled a double one in the game earlier when we needed boxcars, so that's 5 sets of double ones this game. Just so you know, this never comes up. So yeah, he doesn't kill off those slaves. The Forsaken Beast, this is on the right. Forsaken Beast going into the Blight. He does 0 wounds. I don't think he hit me. Yeah, this is the round where he doesn't even hit me with the Forsaken Beast, so that's funny. He does 1 or 2 more wounds with his Vlaine Bowman into my shock troops, but does not boxcar me this time, so that's great. And then over there on the left, we have the Order of the Abyss rocking right through that slave unit that they double won last turn. But even with the beast in the side and the general in the front, he rolls a 3 on this break check, and I have 13 wounds on me, which means that I am wavered but not dead. So I'll take it, right? Like, it would be better if I could actually do something or be helpful, but at least I'm not dead. I'm still blocking the way. Good job. In turn 5, I forgot to take a picture of the die, so just believe me, this is turn 5. I move my weapon team over to shoot at his general model. The Scurriers are also there to shoot at the general, or maybe the Order of the Abyss, and my Warlock joins in the fun because I really need those guys down. The general only needs 1 wound on him to need that not double one to kill him, and the Order of the Abyss are sitting on like 10-ish wounds by this point, so I need, a couple to pop through them. They're only a 14. I turn my general back towards his little slug, and on the right side, I charge the Blight back into his Forsaken Beast. I charge my horde of shock troops at the top there into his bowmen, which you might notice are gone. Yeah, I killed him off. And I charge my Vermintide into the wizard, and the slave regiment into his Order of Redemption. My slaves in the Order of Redemption fight do nothing. I don't even think they hit him. The Vermintide follow suit. They actually do hit the wizard once and fail to wound him. Then my Blight roll into the Forsaken Beast. This is the turn where I wavered him, so, I prefer a kill, but I guess a waver will do. The shock troops obviously walk right through those bowmen, feeling good about that. My weapons team, with 10 shots, hitting on a 4+, hits 0 times, so that'll show him. He hits nothing. That weapon team has 3 wounds on him right now, and that's because of the mistake I made last turn, where his siege artillery could actually see my weapons team and shoot it, hits it, and thankfully only does 3 wounds. So even with that mighty 8-10, I believe, he might have been a 9-11 due to the shock troops being around him, but not very high, not very high nerve. He doesn't break though, so that's good. But yeah, the weapon team then proceeds to do 0 hits to his hero. I have to fire in my Warlock with his lightning bolt, which gets, I think, 2 hits, 1 wound. That's all I need. And the Scurriers shoot into his Order of the Abyssal Hunt. Thankfully, the bad dice from the weapon team ended up not mattering, because I do kill off his general this turn, and I do kill off that Order of the Abyssal Hunt, so I'm feeling good about that. His beast is positioned to kill my demon spawn, but, as long as there aren't 2 other combat-able units over there, I think it's fine. Yeah, the slaves charging into the Order of Redemption. Again, they do nothing. So, good job, guys. Moving on to turn 5 for the Brotherhood. This is the end of the turn. His beast on the left walks right through my demon spawn. I think he only does 1 wound to him, but it's all about you need to get that double one. Kills him off. The artillery shoots into the topmost, or I guess the only remaining shock troops, and does a fair number of wounds. I believe he does 7 wounds to them, but doesn't get the waiver, so that's good. The wizard decides to Martyr's Prayer his Forsaken Beast, which has 6 wounds on it, and gets all 6 for himself, so, that's how Martyr's Prayer works. And the Order of Redemption redeem themselves by walking right through that double 1 slave regiment from before. Yeah, I think that this was a pretty good turn by my opponent. He doesn't have a whole lot of pieces left. This is about as well as he can do. And turn 6. Turn 6 sees my weapon team move forward to chap up the beast. He can't charge the Scurriers, they're slightly out of range, but he can charge my weapons team, that's fine. My Scurriers move forward to just sling some shots into his Order of Redemption, because I can't charge them. My shock troop horde can get to his wizard, obviously, and walk through it, but after I kill it, I will not be able to overrun into his Forsaken Beast, as my Blight also want to charge there. So I just take the Blight charge. They make it, and they do a fair number of wounds to this Forsaken Beast, but obviously they don't kill it, which is, not the best for me, but it's okay. And yeah, you might notice the Blight are facing the wrong way. That's just because with his, even with him turned around, that's not the rear of him, even with his model turned around, that stupid tail and my stupid little, cutty knives will not work well together, so we have to go ass to ass. And we move forward to the bottom of turn 6 with the Brotherhood. He decides to cross-charge with the Forsaken Beast going into my Blight again, and the Order of Redemption going into my shock troops on the top. The Beast goes into the weapon team, and I think he fires the ballista, or not the ballista, the siege artillery at my Scurriers. So, it doesn't, I don't know, there's not a whole lot else or no, I think he fired the siege artillery smartly at my Vermintide, who have a loot counter right now. I don't think I would do this. I think this is a poor move. He should have gone, in my opinion, just double charged the Blight, because they have a loot counter, he has a loot counter, and if he double charges, the Forsaken Beast is on the left, which means that even if there's a turn 7, he is likely to kill the Blight, or has a good chance of killing the Blight off, right, with the Order of Redemption plus the Forsaken Beast. And if he kills them, he'll have 2 counters to my 1. He can overrun to being completely on my side of the table with his Order of Redemption, and then he just wins. But instead my opponent goes for this weird cross-charge thing. Not my thing. Always try to keep the mission in mind. And yeah, he kills off the shock troops, so, you know, because that's what shock troops do. They just die. But his Forsaken Beast only does 2 wounds to the Blight. The Forsaken Beast kills my weapon team, and he misses with his siege artillery onto my Vermintide, which are squarely at his side of the table. And we roll for turn 7, and we get it. Turn 7. Ratkin turn 7 is pretty easy. I charge my... This is actually the end of Ratkin turn 7. I charge my Blight into his Forsaken Beast and just roll it. And then I send the Scurriers into the Order of Redemption just mainly to chaff them up. And my Vermintide moves beyond his siege artillery's line of sight. And yeah, that's about it. I think his Forsaken Beast could shoot me. Could shoot the Vermintide, maybe? But I'm not 100% sure on that. No, it could not, as he's moved the Forsaken Beast towards the Blight just to shoot at them, along with the siege artillery. Neither of those hit. His Order of Redemption walks right through that Scurrier regiment, or troop. Scurriers do 0 wounds to him. So yeah, he walks right through them, and at the end of turn 7, we find he has 1 point for his Order of Redemption being on his side of the table. I have 1 point for my Blight being straddling the center line, and I have 2 more points for my Vermintide holding the center loot counter all the way, almost to his board edge. So it is a 3-1 victory for the Ratkin. But in terms of victory points, it's actually pretty close. He's got the Beast, the Forsaken Beast, the Order of Redemption, and the Siege Artillery versus my Warlock, Blight Horde, and Regiment of Vermintide. I actually think he has the advantage there, but probably not enough to knock it out of a 0, +0 in the Blackjack format, which is what I'm training for. So yeah, that's the end of the game. If you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them below, and I hope to see you next week. Bye!